This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
This is Ram V, and you're listening to the Batman Universe Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Batman Universe Comics Podcast, Season 15, Episode 6. This is Ian.
And this is Dev.
What was that?
This is Tiffany.
That sounds like she is half sleeved. This is Theo.
And we have an episode to record for you. So.
I'm going to be the voice of positivity.
I'm going to be the voice of my opinion.
And I'm just the sole black man.
I'm the sole half Asian man.
I'm the Sophie man. Female.
Anyway, Theo and I are actually going to be at Chicago Comic-Con C2E2 this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you are there and you see us in our TBU merch or just a normal Batman shirt, depending on what day it is, come and say hi. We would love to meet you. I have no idea if you're actually going to listen to this in time to meet us, but do that anyway.
And I got to correct you. You can't call it Chicago Comic-Con because there's actually two big ones in Chicago. So there's C2E2, but Fan Expo also has one.
Oh.
Yeah, they took
I
over.
only ever hear about.
They took over from Wizard World.
Is Fan Expo more gaming?
No. Fan Expo is pretty much, I want to say Fan Expo is a bigger organization than Repop. But
Yeah, we don't have.
Do they do like more movie stuff at Fan Expo?
They do about what and what, and Fan Expo Chicago used to be Wizard World, so Fan Expo pretty much took over all of Wizard World stuff.
All right. Well, anyway, we're going to be at C2E2, which is not Chicago Comic-Con. I am informed.
I was gonna go.
She's checking out.
My April got booked, and so I'm no longer going.
We are sad to miss Steph, but excited for her opportunity.
Because of this crazy thing called marriage, whatever.
Work trips.
I mean, it sounds to me like Steph's actually excited for the trip.
I'm really excited about my trip.
She is going to see if jet lag is as real today as it was the last time she crossed the ocean.
I think it's worse coming back.
But, it is. Okay, it is. Yes, it is without a doubt worse coming back.
Some not Batman news. Okay, fun fact: Ghibli World is only open to Japanese people until July. July.
Oh, that sucks.
And tickets sell out 3 months ahead of time.
Oh my goodness! How much are they?
It doesn't even matter. And then the Ghibli Museum. Tickets sell out a month ahead of time. So I get to go to the Ghibli store where I can purchase items. So I'm a little torn up inside, but I'll be okay.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
you should see if you can say Suzume in Japan.
And Suzume is coming out in America while I'm in Japan. How ironic is that?
I know, right? I'm going to see it.
Anyway,
It's weird how we sound like a bunch of weebs, except that I am not one at all.
Correction, you all sound like a bunch of weeds because I have zero clue.
Yes, but see, Steph and Ian together is still a we. It's not just me.
Anyway.
Okay, so we have two little pieces of news. First one, I would like to say I told everyone so. In today's issues of comics and on DC Nation's Twitter, they released an image of Batman and Catwoman with the text "Showdown," indicating there is a crossover happening with Batman and Catwoman with the current teams of Chip Zdarsky and Tini Howard. I have been saying this for a year now.
I'd be more excited if Catwoman wasn't such a terrible.
Doc, I agree completely. I'm not happy that I told you so, but I did tell you so.
No, wait. Again, you told us so a year ago, so you're still late.
Early? What?
I was too early.
Do you know how many times you... Oh, yeah. I
said it like 12 times.
Yes.
It's ridiculous how many times I've said it.
And we're getting the relaunch, and we're blah, 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 and we're still waiting. Although, I will say this. I'm kind of disappointed that Batman 900 is not going to be Batman 900.
Oh, what do you mean? Isn't it?
Did not list it as Batman 900.
Oh. Yeah. I think they're just going to put like the numbers in parentheses like they do on Spider-Man.
Which sucks.
It is weak sauce. But yeah, so that's coming. My guess is either in the fall after Night Terrors or in the winter in like January. I think given the way they're advertising everything, it's probably the fall. But I could be wrong. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be fall or winter?
For the showdown?
Yeah. It feels like the way they're setting up all the stories that it'll come to a head around the fall.
Either way, you're still late and therefore still wrong.
We have news that is definitely news, and feelings will vary depending on how you feel about the things involved. So, with that ambiguous introduction, Tim Drake Robin is canceled at issue 10, and Batgirls is canceled at issue 19. These are both going to drop in June, and then July and August will be Night Terrors. We will probably get some kind of Bat Family book launched in September after Night Terrors.
Is that a prediction?
What?
Is that a prediction?
Yes, it is.
Oh. I would be okay with that.
I think it makes the most sense. Hopefully it will not have the people involved in these books on it. And I say this as someone who enjoys Batgirls, but I feel like Cloonan and Conrad aren't a good fit for the kind of book that they are being given right now. I wish they would go back to do Gotham Academy, because I think that would honestly be the best thing for them. And I think it would be great. I think it should be graphic novels in stores and not floppies. But I don't think that it would be a success if they were put on a Bat Family book. And I know for a fact that it would be a terrible failure if Fitzmartin was put on a Bat Family book. So I'm hoping it's someone else. I would love to see Tim Seeley. He's not doing a whole lot. You could definitely have him do it.
You sound like someone who said a long time ago that Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad were the wrong people for Batgirls. I remember someone.
Was it someone named Theo?
It might have been.
I would like to point out that Batgirls ending at 19 is actually, even though it didn't make 24, which is what I wanted it to make, it did hit 19, which is more issues than 9 other series, including I Am Batman and Future State Gotham, both of which were absolute trash. So,
wait, and what issue is Tim Drake ending at?
10. That one's not even hitting a year. I'm kind of surprised.
You were wrong on that one, but I'm happy you were wrong on that one.
I am happy I was wrong on that too, because this book is just grinding my gears. I've never been happier to be wrong about something ending sooner than it would. I'm surprised because I don't know how they're going to collect this in trade, but I'm happy.
I wonder how they're going to end it.
Yeah, I have no clue how they're going to end it. It's nowhere close to an ending.
Anything short of Bernard dying?
I don't want Bernard to die. I would just like him to move to Japan or China or anywhere outside of the United States where Tim can't see him regularly. Okay, so as I said, ambiguous news. I am sad that Batgirls is canceled, but honestly, I think that it had a good run. I'm impressed that DC actually kept it for so long, and I'm the only one on the cast who really feels that way. I know Steph has sort of come around to it, but
it lost me at Bat Steph.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last episode. I didn't like the Bat Steph stuff. I'm hoping the next arc is better, but it's the last arc, so it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah,
I still think that issues 14 and 15 were really, really good.
Have they started prepping Cass for Soul World or wherever?
I mean, they prepped her in the Lazarus Planet story.
Yeah, as you could tell, I didn't read that either.
I wish I hadn't. I hated it so much. But, okay. Well, let's get into our review of Detective Comics 1070. This is written by Ram V and art by Stefano Raphael. This is Gotham Nocturne Act 1, Part 5. As our story begins, the Orgum troops unload fully automatic rifle fire on Solomon Grundy as he attacks them in the sewers. They attach an Asmer demon to him, but he literally punches it out of himself, and in desperation, the troops hurl grenades. As the smoke clears, Cheshire Cat, Leon Harper, teams up with Grundy to get out of the sewers, away from the Orgum Asmer army program. Bruce walks through the Wayne Cemetery, pondering his next moves against the mysterious threats he faces, remembering his lost futures with Selina in Batman number 50, and wondering if he's made a mistake. Prince Arzon of the Orgums approaches him and says that the Orgums are looking at the Wayne's land, since the Wayne family is no longer as financially dominant because of Joker War. Bruce says the land will never be for sale, and Arzon speaks of the death of his own father, who went on a quest to save a city, but failed and died, and speaks of history repeating itself. As Arzon leaves, Bruce calls Oracle, Barbara Gordon, and works with her and Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, to start developing a planned campaign against the threat to Gotham, which he suspects has to do with the Orgums. In the Water District, Batman fights his way to Talia al Ghul's door, and his former lover tells him more of Prince Arzon's family's history, and how her father, Ra's al Ghul, killed Arzon's father. Meanwhile, in the Clock Tower, Barbara is approached by a mysterious vigilante calling himself Arclight, part of a 4-person team including Castle, Oracle's counterpart, Dodge, and one more member, calling themselves the Vigil, who are in Gotham watching the Orgum and Bat families. So let's get a happy thing, at least for a couple of us, out of the way. We have a big reference to Batman number 50 with a romantic Batman and Catwoman, or Bruce and Selina picture. How'd you feel about that? Ram V sort of putting his run in as a development of the emotional state that Batman finds himself after Tom King's run.
Well, I'm glad it's not just cast aside. It seems like based on news and story and things said that regardless of how in continuity they all feel, Catwoman, Batman, and Tech are all moving towards something. I don't know what that is. If it's punchline involved, I'm not going to be super excited. But it seems to be the direction that's going. And it's nice knowing that it's not just something that was forgotten. Like, the run mattered. That event, as much as it pissed people off, matters and is a part of who Bruce is now. Like, it's another one of his traumas. Yay, more drama.
Because if there's one thing Batman needs, it's more
There's
trauma.
one thing Batman needs is more trauma. So that did make me, I don't know, I felt something. Don't know if I'd call it happy, but whatever.
And then they go and throw Talia right on in.
Yeah.
Come on
We'll
in.
talk about Talia. I want to know what you think about the Tom King reference.
So,
What? How does you feel?
It will always be considered a tease to me that I just let roll off from one eye to the next until there's actually a payoff. You know, the constant referencing just means nothing to me. And yes, I'm still salty, and I'll forever be salty until it's corrected or not.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which is why I kind of had such...
I liked it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's why I always had, despite reading it, I always had salty feelings about Batcat, because at this point, we're getting all this and you pretty much know it's not continuity.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I liked it. I like feeling that the stories I've read still matter, that writers are still taking into account the stories that we've read, that it's not like this is a completely different Batman that has had no other adventures other than Ram V's run. Sometimes it really feels like that when writers start a new run. What did you think about Stefano Raffaelle's art? He was one of the 3 artists last time, but he only drew a couple pages, and he's doing the whole issue of this one.
I liked it. I mean, it was very fine, very serviceable. I use that word a lot. It was good. I mean, slightly horrific, but that's Grundy. Grundy is scary. I love Grundy. I think for the feel Ram V's going for, it was a good fit.
I think Steph kind of said it best, because and Ian and I talked about this a few days ago, how I did not like the art. But I think Steph kind of said it best. For what Ram V is doing, it probably works. It kind of solidifies that for me, as Steph just said. The way he drew Grundy was awesome. I really did like that, but I liked the whole idea of what happened with Grundy in this story. It was probably the funniest thing in the entire run since Ron V's been on that I've actually laughed at, was the whole beat the shit out of the asthma. Or beat the
I had to really work not laughing when I read that part of the summary, because it is hilarious. He's just like, demon, I punched it out of my face.
I mean, and it was like, he literally beat it out of him. Oh, shit.
Just beat the devil out of. As I say, that has to be the most fun part of the whole technique.
It was great.
It was awesome. But yeah, it's not my style of art, which is, I guess, the primary reason why, when Ian and I were talking about it, I said I didn't like it. But for Ram V's theme and where he's going with the story, I guess it works. I mean, when you have issues with Ivan Reis in it, you kind of get spoiled by that.
I know, right? So I like the art in this issue. I'm a little perturbed that this is Detective Comics. This is DC's book with its highest numbering. It's not necessarily the oldest book, because Action Comics is technically older, but they have double shipped. Actually, no, they quadruple shipped this book for 3 months this year. So it is significantly higher in number than Action Comics. And they can't get a single artist to do a single arc on this. I don't understand their thinking. Like, I like all of the artists that they're using. Like, I really like a lot of them. I like Ivan Reis. I like Raphael Albuquerque. I like Dexter Soy. I like Stefano Raphael. Like, I like all of these artists. This is not a criticism of their art, but this is a monthly book. This is not a double shipping book. Why are they having so much difficulty getting a single artist on it? It baffles me. And it makes me wonder, because Greg Rucka talked about this when he was on Detective, his first time back in from 2000 to 2002, between No Man's Land and Hush. And he says, you can tell that editorial had it out for me because there was no issue that had the same artist in sequence. Every single issue had a different artist in order. And so ever since I read that from Rucka, I've kind of thought that if editorial doesn't put artists sequentially on a book, they're not paying adequate attention to that book. You disagree, Steph?
I mean, I don't know. That seems harsh, but like I just don't remember this happening too much when Tamaki was on. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
wasn't Tamaki double shipping?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think she had designated artist, didn't she?
I'm trying to remember, because so when she did what was it, Shadows of the Bat, obviously she had different artists because
it was weekly.
But was it double shipping when it launched in 2021?
It was because it led into Fifth State. Because Batman and Tech were both double shipping at that time.
I need to check this out.
While you're checking it out, I do have to correct you on one thing, Ian.
Go for it.
Okay. So, Action Comics is 1938. Detective Comics is technically 1937, if you go all the way to issue number 1.
Right. The 27 thing is where we usually count from, because that's Batman's
first appearance.
Right. It is the oldest. The thing is, they've overlapped a couple times.
Right. And that's why because Action went weekly at some point in time. And that's how it surpassed.
In like the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, and that's how it surpassed Detective.
Look, right? DC stands for Detective Comics.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever.
So actually, it looks like it was a monthly book in March 2021, and it only got squished when it came to
Shadows?
The Shadows of the Bat.
Really?
Yeah.
I reviewed that book for 2 years, and I don't remember that.
Well, it was a big book, and it had a backup every time, so it would have been hefty. But, I mean, Dan Mora did most of the art for that year.
He did.
I think there was a couple issues of Victor Bogdanovic, but it was mostly Dan Mora.
Rico, I miss you.
I miss her, too. Come back to Wonder Woman or Detective. I'm okay with either one.
Preferably Detective.
So here's the thing. I am really excited about Jeremy Adams doing Green Lantern, but I honestly wish I could have seen both his and Mariko Tamaki's Green Lantern. I think it would have been fun to see both.
But back to Detective Comics.
But back to Batman, because this is not the DC Universe, it's the Batman Universe podcast. Let's talk about that opening Grundy fight. We've already mentioned it a little bit, but how do you think it worked? It's obviously picking up after the cliffhanger of last episode. It's very much like it's about 4 pages, and it's sort of like a teaser at the beginning of a TV episode, but it doesn't lead anywhere in the rest of this issue. So clearly, this is a thread that's going to be picked up in other issues. How do you feel about that, its placement, and how it works?
It feels like a secondary backup. I certainly don't mind it. I like seeing what's happening with the citizens story, because what's her name? Baby
Maps.
Cat.
No, not Maps. Cheshire Cat.
Shoot.
No, she's calling herself Cheshire Cat now.
Oh, well.
But that is Shoes. Right? That is Shoes, right? Isn't that what she was called?
She was Shoes, but she hasn't called herself Shoes in a while.
Okay. Well, Cheshire is one of the kidnapped people, right? And she's escaped.
Yep.
And so I am interested to know what she's going to do, because she's kind of representing the cat family, the Batcat, the Catwoman.
The Strays.
Action, sort of.
The Strays.
Yeah, the Strays.
Who are so much better. Okay, I'm going to save that for the Catwoman talking, but I'm sorry, I'm just so angry about Catwoman.
And I love what people do with Grundy. I think that Grundy and Clayface and Killer Croc have been used very cleverly over the years, and I just really find them very empathizable. I empathize with them a lot. And
I would add Two-Face to that list.
he was in my mind too.
It would be.
I agree.
It has been quite a while since I've considered that crew as actual villains compared to more anti-hero. They can do either or. Yeah. Whereas Harley and Selena are clearly, despite the crazy crap that they do, they're heroes.
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. Whereas Croc will eat somebody's head off from time to time. Bundy will do Bundy stuff, and of course, Basil will do Basil stuff. Like he just tried almost blowing people up in Batman. But I still consider that they've been redeemed somewhat, and I consider
they're certainly nowhere close to Joker.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, I consider them more anti-hero than actual villain. At one point in time, I would have had Victor approaching that too, but it seems like they're going in a different direction.
We're going to talk about that in the backup because that was very interesting. But we're going to stick with the main story for now. I liked it. I thought it was super fun. It had, I mean, as Theo said, it's kind of like the most fun Ramvee's had in this run.
He literally beat the asthma out of him.
It was so funny. Like, it's really, really funny. And the art is perfect for it. You just like see the dude punch the green demon out of his mouth.
I mean, he just literally hits himself in the jaw. And the next thing you know, the thing comes right out.
Falls out.
Well, you know what sound clip we're using for this, right?
Oh, yeah?
Bob Ross's Gotta Beat the Devil Out of It.
Nice.
But it is weird how, it was the actual guards that actually thought they had a chance of beating Grundy instead of sending demons at him anyway. But that
was they're definitely not used to Gotham yet.
Nope.
I kind of I don't know. I'm still just so on the fence. I'm not as frustrated with this book as I used to be. And I'm enjoying a lot of it, but I still think there's a real problem of who Ramvee is choosing as his points of view.
Yeah.
And that's not because I don't think it should focus on Batman, but if you're going to structure the story around Batman, I don't think Batman should be so helpless the whole time.
And the pace is just still terrible.
The pace is rough.
It's just...
Well, two things that kind of... me. One was Barbados showing up again.
I mean, that's just going to keep happening.
And being so significantly involved in the death of Bruce's parents, like being right alongside them. It just really makes me think it's 100% symbolic. This is not in any way really happening, but whatever. And then the second thing was, he's like, we should start investigating the Orgums. I was like...
No, duh. What have you been doing for the last year?
It just feels like Batman would have had them investigated while they were still halfway across the ocean on the boat towards Gotham.
Batman would have had... I mean...
Start looking into them.
It took how many issues before Batman says... Or I can't remember if it was Bruce or if it was Babs who says, all of this started right after they arrived. Well, duh.
No, really?
Well, don't you think Batman 2-3 years ago would have figured that out?
I mean, Tynion Batman definitely would have figured it out. I think Tom King Batman probably would have. And Snyder Batman, of course, would have. I don't know. I just feel like this Batman is struggling in a way that I think I would accept it if he'd been struggling for like 2 or 3 issues. But this is like 10 issues in, right?
At least he's not like dying at the end of this one, right? Hold on, I gotta actually make sure. Right.
Wait, are you sure?
Hold on, I gotta make sure. No, we don't actually know. He's drinking tea with Talia. It's Babs who's she's not dying.
No, because
We're gonna get to Babs in a minute.
No,
never mind. He's going down the scary tunnel.
We don't know because we get into an advertisement.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yep, and our last question is, how do you feel about the 4-page advertisement for The Vigil coming in May?
Okay, so first of all, another secret organization in Gotham that Batman didn't know about. Okay, whatever.
I mean, to be fair, they only just started being in Gotham.
I suppose. Someone who's smarter and better than Oracle. Okay, all right.
Not cool.
They know more, but haven't been sharing up until now. Oh, okay. All right. Whatever. I don't know. I was angry. Not like super upset, but I was like, what the crap is going on?
It's an advertisement for The Vigil coming in May.
I can't
so then
tell.
I was like, is this going to have to do anything with anything? What?
I don't know. Does it, because it feels like this is going to play into Detective Comics, but that doesn't make sense since The Vigil's its own miniseries.
I can't tell if this Castle kid is actually a kid or if this is a fellow.
Like a small person.
Yeah. Because again, the art isn't great. That was a terrible way to end the story.
Yeah.
I think this was a really poor idea.
Cheap.
Yeah, I think this, I would have had no problem if this was the backup. If he'd stretched it out to 10 pages and had Oracle versus Vigil for one issue, and it's read the Vigil in May, and it was a backup story. But this is supposed to be connected to the main story. And the main story is already a little bit choppy because you have that 4-page Grundy start that's not connected to anything else. And then the rest of the story is Bruce's story where he's, mourning his parents, thinking about his past, meeting with Prince Orgum, and then he talks to Babs and he talks to Talia. Like, that's all Bruce, and that feels connected, and it's got sort of a pace to it. But then it's just like, and we're back to Oracle, and it's so clunky. It's such a clunky advertisement, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know if I could tell you what would have made it better. Maybe
it would be the backup. That would have made it better.
Not having it would have been nicer. But yeah, it was weird.
Oh, I forgot. This actually wasn't the last question. Talia. So Talia's been hanging around the whole time. She was in the first issue of this run, and she's been hanging out since the end of Tamaki's run. And she's only just now telling Batman some information that might have been good to know 10 issues ago. How do you feel about that?
I'm done with Talia. I've been done with Talia.
Were you ever not done with Talia, though?
I was never not done with Talia.
She always just I won't use the word hate. I'll just say dislike.
I do not hate. I just don't enjoy. But like this book in general, it almost doesn't actually matter that it's Talia. It could be anybody. I'm just done.
Silver St. Claude tells the secrets of how she
Emotionally, I'm just so done with this book. I never was on board emotionally with this book. I don't know. I'm just
It's a task. Go and say it.
Yeah, it's a chore.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not. I feel like I'm probably the one. Would you think it's fair to say that I'm the one who's enjoying the book the most?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I think
I don't enjoy it.
But
I think
would agree with the characterization that it's work. It's a little.
I think
harder to
your
read.
opinion changed after the annual, whereas
Yes,
mine
it really
did not.
did. The
Mine
annual
did
is a
not.
huge leap for me.
Yeah. And I had planned on reading the Romvi's run of Tech for tonight, and ended up being way more busy in the last 24 hours than I thought I was. But yeah, maybe it can be rectified by reading it all together, but I don't know. I'm trying to be positive. I like the art somewhat.
You don't have to be positive,
I
Steph.
like the Bat Cat stuff.
When we got into the chat preparing for the podcast, Steph was proposing certain covers, which may or may not happen. Yeah, I think. Well, what do you think, Theo?
About Talia?
Yeah, Talia.
Well, I mean, until I'm proven otherwise, they're going to continue throwing Talia in because I still think that they are grooming us for an eventual hookup, fling, whatever, between her and Bruce. I mean, whether it's all of these weird Hey Lover appearances or Selena bumping uglies with the now dead Valmont in Catwoman.
Please let him stay dead.
They just seem to be trying to groom us for those two getting together, and
I am annoyed because, as I said, Talia should have told Bruce this 10 issues ago. This is stuff he needed to know. And I'm also annoyed because this is supposed to be sort of a detective story, and Batman's just going to places and people are telling him stuff. Like, this could be anyone. There's nothing about what Batman does that earns him this information. And I don't like that. It makes it feel more like a video game getting a data file from the computer rather than a detective actually doing work to find a clue. So it just, there's something off about the way Ramvi is structuring the story that I still am really struggling with, even though I am enjoying the run more or less. So that's how I feel about Talia. Let's move to our backup. So, Absolute, Part 2 of 3, written by Simon Spurrier, art by Casper Wingard, I think, or Wigengard. I'm not sure. So, as Mr. Freeze cryo-freezes Dr. Mead, Two-Face's therapist, and she hears the terrifying spiritual entity Earworm, his experiment fails and he throws a tantrum. Believing Dr. Mead is dead, Freeze leaves as Earworm tells her that something is coming that she should fear. It's the boy discovered by Gordon, calling himself Sorrow, who says he's here to save her as she thaws. So, this is part 2 of 3 of a story. Does it feel like part 2 of 3 of a story to you?
It felt like a part 3. But
Really? It felt like an ending?
Well, I mean, she's getting rescued after the dude tried to kill her. The end. But I think I'm glad it's going to have a better conclusion. Like, if it ended here, I think I would be okay, but I'm glad it's going to continue on.
What if it ends with her actually dying, though?
She appears to be dying at the end of every issue, so it would almost make sense for her to actually die at the end. But now she's got a relationship with our boy, the Himbo. So
his name is Nero.
Himbo.
I think he's calling himself Sorrow now.
That was his name.
Nero, Sorrow, close enough.
I like that he's a different age depending on who draws him. Like he's either 12 or 22.
Yeah, he looked like a grown man in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Grown manlet.
A manlet.
I am really starting to move over to Ian's side of things when reading stuff by Cy Spurrier. This was not good for me. Did it feel like a part 2 or a part 3? It just felt like something.
Forever.
Yeah, I don't know. And the way it ended with, I'm assuming Mr. Freeze is about to sneak up on Nero, Sorrow, whatever. But no, I mean, it was bad.
So the reason I ask this question is because this does not feel like a part of a story. It feels like a part of a part. It feels extremely fragmentary, underbaked, and weak. And the thing is, there's actually a lot of good parts to it. I actually really like the art. I think it's very appealing. I really like the voice that Spurrier gives to Dr. Mead. It's an interesting voice. She seems like an interesting character. But like an interesting voice for 10 pages is not a story. It's not a chapter. This is like entirely linking. You have the inciting incident at the beginning of the story, and then it seems like it's building towards a conclusion, but nothing really happens. Mr. Threes throws a temper tantrum and the boy shows up. Those are incomplete events and they don't accomplish anything.
I suppose that's true. But I think I liked it, and I think I was just so happy to see like happy colors and someone getting saved and something kind of sort of happening. Whereas in the main book, it's been like deep thought, torture, molasses plot. It's like, well, at least things are happening in this one. And hey, look, romance! It's my favorite.
Wait,
really
romance?
No, it's the cute boy saving the cute girl. It's in the
She's
TV
44
world,
and he's definitely not, except that he might actually be prehistoric because he's a spiritual entity. Because we needed another Twilight romance in Batman.
I didn't hate it as much as I hate it.
I didn't hate it, but I think it's really weak.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's well crafted in a lot of ways. Like, I do think some parts of it were well crafted, but as a whole, it's a mess. Yeah. So I don't really have a whole lot more to say because, like I said, this feels like a fragment of a fragment. I don't really have much to say other than that. And unlike the first part of this story connected directly with Ram V's story, which I appreciated. Like, I like the way that this has nothing to do with Ram V's story. And, I guess I should ask, how do you feel about Mr. Freeze, like, being really scuzzy and kind of villainous in this episode?
Well, Theo's been very quiet. What do you think, Theo?
Well, like I said, this story didn't do it for me. And I don't know. And unlike previous issues where I didn't have as much issue with what Spurrier was doing, particularly because they were more closely knitted with the main story. This one just doesn't do it.
All right, let's give this issue, Detective Comics 1070, ranking out of 5. Let's see, what should they be? Out of 5 advertisements for forthcoming series. I'm never letting that go.
2. That's what I say. 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna say that too as well. I don't care if we get a mode. It's a 2.
You said 2 as well?
Yep.
I said 3. And that's my review on the website too. So that gives us an overall score of 2.33 with a mode of 2.
Whether you are a first-time TBU Comics podcast listener, a 13-year veteran, or anything in between, we'd love to hear what you think about this episode or any of the comics we discussed. Send emails to tbu@thebatmanuniverse.net. Join our Discord server linked at thebatmanuniverse.net. Send us a tweet at TBU_comics. Or, if you're a patron, leave us a comment on our Patreon page. We'd also love it if you left us a review on iTunes. We'd love to read your comments on the next episode of the Batman Universe Comics Podcast. Batman may claim he works alone, but we know that he needs the Bat Family. Join the TBU Bat Family and let us know what you think.
Let's move to Greater Gotham. Starting with Nightwing number 102.
Oh. Thumbs up. They saved the girl. The backup is good. They're going to hell. Not in the backup. It's called the Hell Heist. It's going to be fabulous.
I feel like I've read that story before.
It's a thumbs up for me, but for some reason, I may have enjoyed the backup slightly more than the main story this time.
Oh, totally. And not just because it's John, because it's adult John. So technically I should hate it, but
Agreed.
It was
Yeah.
definitely fun.
It just seemed it was better constructed, and just the idea of the Smiley Man having the F them kids attitude by tossing Olivia from the sky. that just I just don't. It's kind of tough as a grandfather, you know.
I abstain.
As expected.
Shocking.
I know, right?
Not.
Batman Superman World's Finest number 13.
Oh man. Thumbs up. And it's the start of a new arc. So if anyone wants to join me on the super fun, Bruce gets arrested for killing Phlebotomy Man? Metamorphose. Father-in-law. Woo! So exciting! Spoiler, by the way.
Bruce or Batman?
Bruce.
Uh-huh.
Because he had a business meeting with him, and so they think he did it. Oh, and Jimmy Olsen's the one who figures it out. So maybe Jimmy Olsen shouldn't be investigating. But anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful Dan Mora art, and it was a lot of fun. And I was so lost at the beginning, but it just turns out that they're discussing something that never happened on page. And so, yeah. If you want to come join me on the super fun ride that is the Batman Superman World's Finest, it's really fun. Come join me.
I might check out that issue, but until then, I abstain.
And the issue before that was the date between Dick and Supergirl, and that was cute.
That, according to you, really wasn't a date.
It wasn't a date. It was terrible. He's a terrible guy. He's a terrible teenage date, but, you know, whatever.
I also abstain. I wish I had abstained for our next title. Catwoman number 53.
Gosh. I technically read those. My eyes skim the pages and I take in the words. Thumbs down. What is shit? I do not understand what Selena is doing.
I understand what she's doing. It's monumentally stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, Theo, I'm assuming you're abstaining.
Have you ever told me that it was safe to read yet?
I have not, because this is probably the worst issue yet. I got so vitriolic, I felt like I was going to burn through the screen when I was writing my review, because I was so mad. This issue is trash. This series is trash, and I'm so frustrated that no end seems to be in sight.
I miss the early days of this Catwoman book when it was just bad.
It's incandescently bad. Okay.
Hold on. 53? This book's been going on for 53 issues.
No.
She only started on like 40.
No.
She started when Ron V got off.
Ron V did a little
Ron
bit.
V had a good run.
Yeah, Ron V jumped on at what, 25?
Yeah, and he had 2 issues before that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mixed in.
Carry on.
DC Ruby number 2.
I think I said neutral. It still continues to be a middle-of-the-road book. Alfred has superpowers now and has many hands and can serve many types of food.
What?
And Batman now has, because everyone's developing a semblance, basically a superpower, because the universes are colliding, I guess. And so Bruce's is precog, which he's like, yeah.
So remind me, is this connected to the previous DC Ruby stories or not?
I don't know, not at all. Because in that one, the Justice League were super young. I don't think I read too much of that. But so in that one, the Justice League and the Ruby crew were the same age. So like teenagers, late teenagers. This is Batman, our Batman, and then the teenage crew of Ruby.
I don't understand this at all. Like,
although
they keep doing this. This is like the 3rd miniseries, right?
Second. I thought it was the second.
I thought there was another one.
But they're making a show? Am I wrong about that?
But none of them are connected to each other. Like, this is what baffles me.
That's true.
But wait,
Like, okay.
wait. I gotta ask. So the Justice League is just the regular Justice League in here, but you can't tell that looking at the covers. You look at the covers, and Clark look like he's 15. I mean, they look really young on some of them covers.
You gotta appeal to the teen demographic.
Because those are the ones probably watching Ruby.
Yeah, you gotta appeal to the teen demographic.
But yeah,
I don't understand this at all. This confuses me. All right, here we go.
It confuses us both, and we're not even reading it.
Correct. One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul.
Oh my goodness. As a book about these characters, I would have to say neutral. Damien wasn't too Damien-ish. He was more playing the role of the grandson. He didn't do or say almost anything. He was a damsel in distress. And like we were talking about before, the book really seems to say that, and I really liked the beginning of the book, but by the end it seems to say, as long as we get rid of the people who are causing damage to the planet, we'll be fine. But the problem with that is, one, murder is wrong, but two...
Let's not skate over that. That's a little important.
No, but two, it's not the leaders who are the only baddies. Like, they are being supported and lobbied and encouraged by so many people. Like, you would have to commit mass murder to get rid of the people that are causing the problems in this world. And not just a list of 27. Killing 27 people in this world is not going to fix the world. Anyway. But yes, murder is wrong. And you're not being much better. Not that being on a high horse is going to save us when the planet dies, but yeah. It was pretty heavy-handed. So neutral for me. Did I say neutral?
You said neutral. It was a thumbs up for me. In the list of One Bad Day books that have been out thus far. Wait, is this the last one or we got one more?
This is the last one.
The last one? Well, it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. And I understand everything Steph just said about murder being wrong and blah, 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 blah. But
I really don't want to skate over murder being wrong, guys.
Yada, yada.
But
it's important.
But it's about the character. It's about Roz, and Roz is a murderer. So these type of things are supposed to happen with these folks. And, you know, just like we weren't in total agreement about the Mr. Freeze book, it's okay for it to be the way that it is, simply because now that it's over, it's over. It doesn't mean anything. It's just that for once in this AU world of ours, and you had to know that it had to be Tom Taylor to do it, the bad guy won, and that's okay. I mean, I know a lot of folks at some point in time would say, I would just like to see a book that ends and the bad guy wins. And it's okay if it happens in an AU book, because when it's done, and the idea that he made the world a better place he only killed the 27 heads, but that wasn't all he did. He infiltrated those boards.
3,000 people in this plan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, you know, talking about the 27 heads of those corporations, but 3,000 people. Okay, a lot of people to make the world a better place. Fair trade. And he died at the end, which is...
Did he?
Yeah. Basically killed himself.
But then he gets back up again.
And then he comes back.
He got up again? Oh, that's right. He got up, but this time it was... He didn't have that dream of you know how in the beginning he said, well, every time I wake up from the pit, it's the horror of the world I'm coming into that makes me want to continue the mission. Now I don't have to. At the end, he doesn't have to. He wakes up and the world's a better place. And that's okay, because it's over now. And that's just how I read the book. Okay, yep, one and done. Cool, that was a neat concept to see Roz actually get his plan done. And Bruce doesn't die. Really, he does, but he doesn't, because he comes back. Although it's weird how long was he dead? He was dead for, what, 3 months, they say?
Yep.
How a body... I don't know.
Maybe he's been stewing in the pit for 3 months.
I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, just like with Freeze. Okay, yeah. It's okay. Thumbs up. But, in all seriousness, murder is wrong. But in the comic book world, it happens.
Thumbs all the way down. This piece left me incandescent with fury, because I agree with Theo. I think that the voice that Taylor gets for Roz is very charismatic and appealing, but I think that's why it's so bad, because the book ends with you feeling good that 3,000 people were murdered. And I happen to think that
I disagree. I disagree. I was feeling good because the world was a better place.
I do not believe that the ends justify the means, especially when it comes to murder. And I think that a book that argues that is evil. I am firmly of the belief that a book that attempts to justify murder by saying the world's a better place, when you get a world that is a better place by murder, you have made a world where murder is a better thing. And that is evil. And I know that's not necessarily what Taylor's directly intending to say, but it is what he is saying, and that's completely unacceptable to me.
So I have a question that's more broad. So this series was called Batman One Bad Day. And a lot of these stories have happy endings.
Do they? I feel like only like 2 of them do.
Do they? So Catwoman did. I think Penguin
Catwoman?
did.
Well, I would say Penguin doesn't have a... It has a happy ending for Penguin?
My question is, who is having the bad day?
It
well, that changes from book to book.
Yeah,
so it doesn't feel like that was a mandate.
Well, it was a mandate that someone had to have a bad day, but it didn't have to be the main villain.
So this is called Batman One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul. Is Batman having the bad day, or is Ra's al Ghul having the bad day?
Batman
Ra's
is
al
having
Ghul
the
gets
bad
this
day.
what he wants. So I think this, regardless of what you think or no, Tom Taylor is writing and what is his message, and based on other things he's written, we can assume he probably does really think that way. But if the underlying message is one bad day, and Batman is having the bad day, then unfortunately not the obvious message is this isn't a good thing. This is a terrible thing. This is a very bad thing.
I think you can argue that. I don't think the book works that way.
Yes,
I think the book is structured to feel good, and that is why I'm so angry.
I think that's very fair.
So I appreciate. I think all of you have really thoughtful takes, and I really like that we all have different ratings, because I think that's good, because our readers will read it and have their own takes. Mm-hmm. They won't feel like, oh well, all of them felt that way, so obviously I have to feel. No, everyone has a different take. Everyone's given their thoughts, and I think all of your thoughts are totally valid. I obviously have my own thoughts, and I've given them, but that's the point of a discussion. The point of a discussion is not to decide for here and now that this book is good or bad. It's to have that discussion and start further discussions. Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, number 7.
Thumbs up. It was almost a thumbs down, and we could have just pretty much exited the TBU, but it had a good ending, and I liked these books have been saved by the endings.
I'm trying to remember how it ended.
Darkseid joined.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. They gave Darkseid the cure, so now he's ready to be the secret weapon.
Dead. Yeah. I loved how Lobo administered. He just rammed it into his mouth, and then Darkseid chopped his hand or bit his hand off. That's so funny.
And Alfred is still the Spectre, although he doesn't seem to be the killy type of Spectre, which I'm not too pleased with.
I am.
Why not? I mean, the Spectre is the spirit of vengeance. Now he's just going to be the spirit of you're going to jail.
I think he's wonderful.
It was a neutral for me.
So Theo, did you rate it?
Neutral.
I'm still abstaining because you guys keep telling me that Steph hasn't shown up again, so I'm not reading it till she does.
Cass was in one panel.
I don't like Taylor's cast, and I am aware that Cass fans love it, but I don't like it.
Choose your words wisely. And speaking of the Cassandra.
All right, now here comes another interesting discussion. GCPD, The Blue Wall, number 6. The ending of this miniseries. And please God, the final thing that Ridley writes at DC for a long time.
So I struggled a lot with the rating and decided to give it a thumbs up. And one thing that bothered me was that the book started being about these 3 rookies, and by the end the book is about
Renee.
And I think if my interpretation is correct, I haven't interpreted a book since high school, it starts with these 3 rookies, and not only does the GCPD chew them up and spit them out, the story does too. By the end, none of those people are in the story anymore. One guy's quit, one guy's in prison, and the other girl is just keeping her head down so that she doesn't get arrested for tampering with evidence.
But they all had their chance to rip Montoya, though.
They did. And Montoya has also been on a very interesting journey, and she's not the same person by the end. And I think because of Renee's choices at the end, and oh crap, what was her name? Sam?
Who?
The girl.
Which
the girl cop rookie.
No, you're gonna make me look.
Anyway, because of their choices, and the guy who quit, and the guy who went on the killing rampage, I think at the end they all made the right choice, even though it was really hard and there was real consequences. So I think I liked the story. It was a hard story to read, and I tell you what, reading this story, you get so angry at the injustices in this world and in our systems. But I think it was a story that I was pleased that they told. So thumbs up.
It is a thumbs up for me as well. But also, like Steph said, there are some things that just, for a lack of better words, pisses you off. Yeah, definitely a lot of things that'll make you look and just reflect on the injustices, not just what's going on in the book, but they're so close to what's going on in society today. It's hard to separate them. And, Steph said it perfectly, Danny and, oh, shoot. Even that way, hold on. I'm on a page now. So Danny and what's his name and the female cop, whose name I can't remember either, but they get spit out. I mean, and even in the end, when you get to that panel where the news is talking about him being captured, and the press conference that Renee gave, it was like, whatever, he's terrible, no matter what. It's just, and from a story aspect, it left so many open-ended questions. Like, we still don't know how what's his name gets from being a probation officer to now being on this special force that Renee is talking about in Batman, right? Batman.
I think it's
Yeah.
detective. Isn't it?
Detective. It was one of
No,
them.
I think it's.
No,
I
I'm
think
pretty sure it's
so.
detective because Batman's been in an alternate universe for 3 months.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just, I don't know. It's just, it really, it was a good story. It was a good ending. I am definitely not a fan of how Renee turns out in the end. He almost makes her seem incompetent and a part of the same system that even in the other books she was fighting to change. And I don't know. But it's still a thumbs up. I wish it would. I wish a lot of these holes would have been filled. And again, it's not a story that you need to read for a happy ending. There's no way that this could be a happy ending. And I just it will likely be a better read in trade if they somehow put it in trade. But you gotta be able to have a stomach for real world issues to be able to tackle that. Because I mean, oh, by the way, her name's Sam. But
I knew it.
yay. But yeah, you gotta have a stomach for real world issues, and it's just not. It's not the. I'm trying to say this in the most diplomatic way. It's not the type of book you should read if you have a problem with the police.
Because you already feel this way.
Yes.
You don't need the encouragement.
Yes. I mean, it's just, and it's just, again, my biggest ilk with Ridley on this is how he makes Renee turn out. And again, like I said, in some instance, she seems incompetent, incapable of making the changes that she said that she could do, and actually, just being a part of the system. If you go back several issues to talk about how she just tells Ortega to just go with the flow, like she went with the flow when she's supposed to be changing that flow anyway. She's now drinking again. So I don't, for everything that Renee's journey has been about, over the years. I don't like how Ridley seems to have dialed that back. But again, considering what he was attempting to do with this miniseries, I understand it, even though I don't like it. But it is still a thumbs up.
So this is a neutral for me. I have skipped at least 2, if not 3, of the issues. I really appreciated that the book, coming from this after talking about One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul, I think this is much more. I'm able to accept this as having a moral perspective that I can converse with, even though I disagree with it. I don't agree with Ridley on most of what he is preaching or saying in this book or in his other books. And I have a second piece to say about Ridley, but the fact that he has Renee risk her life to save the life of this boy who's murdered her brother and other people. And that's the right thing to do. But also, it's not the right thing to do to say that his murders were justified in any way.
No.
He
I think that's one thing I
destroyed.
appreciate about it, though, was that they said that it wasn't, but it was very multi-level, layered, and complicated, and the media doesn't like that. People like simple answers. They like surface layer things, and so it's just totally missed on the masses of this multifaceted issue.
I agree,
Yeah,
but I think that there is a simple truth that I really appreciate that Ridley hammered home, which is that the murderers were wrong. The murderers destroyed his argument. The murderers destroyed any chance he had at really making a difference. And all Renee could do was save his life. And I thought that was powerful. And I appreciate that.
I'm happy you said that, because at first I thought you were going to go along the same line of what you were saying about One Bad Day, but
No. This is a much more sophisticated.
It is
a more mature book than One Bad Day.
It is, and one might say that your argument for One Bad Day, that Tom Taylor was basically saying mass murder was okay for the end result. You know, there can be an argument in that. Really does not do this at all.
Correct. He has us have profound sympathy for the torments that this young man goes through that drive him to it, but he never asks us to say that's okay, and that's really powerful to me.
No, from the point he killed Montoya's brother and fiance, Danny becomes public enemy number 1, and he's written
and
as
justifiably
such.
so.
And he's written as
those
such.
2 people did not deserve to die.
Oh, none of them deserve to die. Now, I think even worse than, and not to put degrees of murder, but I think the way in which he had the 2, I would assume that they were Muslim ladies, killed by having them tied up in the car was far worse than what he did to Montoya's brother and future sister-in-law. That was just gruesome. He basically sent them women off to die who had absolute zero to do with what was going on. Zero connection to anyone or anything.
Yep. So I give it a neutral I'm inclined to give it a thumbs down just because of a lot of things. But I think that it's powerful, it's worth reading, it's reasonably well done. But the reason I'm not willing to go to thumbs up is my second piece about Ridley, and that is sort of what Theo was talking about when he said he's not happy with where Renee's gone because of Not because it's not believable. Obviously, someone who's put in the position of commissioner of Gotham City is always going to have to make compromises. He's always going to have to deal with the fact that this is the most corrupt version of an American city. Like it's Gotham is New York City as a nightmare. But the thing is, Ridley, in my reading, is a profoundly selfish writer in the way he treats other people's characters. Renee Montoya is not his character. These 3 new cops are his characters, and I think the way he treats them is perfectly justified, and it's powerful, it's mature, it's artistically sophisticated. The way he treats Renee is the same way he treats the Foxes. Now, that's not to say that he destroys her the same way he's destroyed Lucius Fox. Like, he's made Lucius Fox into this, like, cynical, unfaithful, adulterous, manipulative, deceitful jerk. Like, there's no integrity left in Lucius Fox after what he did to him. And that really angers me because I love Lucius Fox. He's left Renee with more integrity than he's left Lucius with, but he's still taken a lot of way. He's regressed her into drinking again. Now, I believe that once you become addicted to something like alcohol or drugs, you can't stop being addicted. You are either sober or you're not sober, but you're always going to be addicted to that substance. And so it's plausible to me that she would regress, which would relapse. But it's so destructive. And the fact that he does this to her after killing her only family, her brother and future sister-in-law, these are things that will not be taken back. We joke about comic book death, but I'd like to remind everyone that at the end of No Man's Land, Joker slaughtered Sarah Essen Gordon in cold blood, and that was 24 years ago, and she has not come back once. Benny Montoya is not coming back. Renee is going to have this hole in her life forever. I think that's really selfish. And I understand the point that Ridley's making, but I don't think he should play with other people's characters to make that point. And so that's why it's a neutral, because I see the way he treats these long-standing properties, and I don't... It rubs me in a way that feels very disrespectful and selfish, and I can't go all the way to a thumbs up because of that. Tim Drake Robin, number 7.
Neutral.
Neutral?
No, wait, what? All right, neutral. Well, no, I said neutral because the art was such a step up, and that has been one of my biggest complaints. I have to give credit where credit is due and give it very, very begrudging neutral. And that is all I'm going to say about this book. I'm done. The art was amazing in this book. That's it.
It's an abstain, but the best thing about this book is that it's about to come to an end.
I don't disagree. So Tim Drake Robin is an absolute thumbs down. And for me, the fact that the art is so amazing is even more of a thumbs down because it means it's a wasted 22 pages of gorgeous art on a story that's shallow, lazy, and stupid.
I mean, and seriously, not to go too far off topic, but those are the worst kind of books where either the writing is absolutely wonderful and the art is just like the worst ever, or vice versa. Because
it feels like such a waste.
I remember the Charles Soule run of She-Hulk, not to go too far into Marvel, was absolutely one of the best written books I've ever read, and the art was downright, and it just ruined it for me. And if there was one gripe that I had with Joshua Williamson's run on The Flash, was
Howard Porter.
Yes.
Yep, I feel ya.
Okay, I'll say one more thing about the book. So, I just want to say, I'm not holding a grudge against this book. I want this book to be good. I saw that it was new art. I knew that it was a new arc. I was like, maybe this will be wonderful. And It was not. It wasn't even like Tom Taylor heavy-handed. It was just.
It was lazy.
I seriously, this book was doomed to fail. It was doomed to fail. It was doomed to fail from urban legends. But DC, God bless them, bless their heart. DC.
Oh boy, we broke it up to bless their hearts.
DC just felt that they had every right to just force this on us. Because
I think if they had stayed with the urban legends formula, they would have found an audience.
How do you mean?
The I forget what they're called, but the girls that like seeing two boys together.
Oh, yeah,
and the pretty art and just fluffy being togetherness, they would have found an audience. And I probably would have found it consumable without barfing up my dinner. However, that is not what we got. And even this was terrible. This was not fluff. This was whatever.
But I would argue, and I think Theo is right here, that turning Tim into a yaoi romance hero is wrong. That is not who he is.
Yeah.
Like, I think... Okay, so here's... You guys may be very angry with me. I think if they really wanted to do this, they should have had Dick go gay. Because I think there's been a lot more speculation and even intentional hinting by various writers that Dick himself is pansexual or bisexual. But I think that DC is cowardly because Dick is a bigger character and they're not willing to do that. And I think that is artistically and morally contemptible. So DC can jump in a lake and they deserve to have this canceled. And
I think there's other characters that have been shipped with Tim for years that would have made more sense because there's a relationship.
Well, yeah, there's Ives and there's Connor, and both of them would have been much better received. But it's like they picked the absolute worst way to do this. And I still think that Tim is not the character they should have done.
Here's the thing. And I will, and this is not a die on this hill type of thing, but it's going to be my argument till the cows come home. There are enough characters already in existence within the DC universe, within the Batman universe, that if you wanted to have a representative book, you could have done it. Or you could have gone the route that you did with John, although you didn't have to age him up. Batwoman, Midnighter. That's two characters right there within the Batman universe. You had Renee. There's so much you didn't. I will never forgive. And again, not the biggest Tim Drake fan, not in any means of the word. But I am a fan of comic book history and continuity, and you basically destroyed all of that just to make a public statement. And I just can't forgive that. And I'm happy I'm happy this book failed. Because they totally did it wrong, and they got the absolute perfect writer to do it because Fitz Martin just made it. It just shown just how bad it was.
Do you think maybe they did that on purpose? Do you think they tanked the book on purpose?
I can't tell. I would think so, but it's so incompetent. It feels like it was designed to fail.
I would say if they purposely did this book to fail, to make another statement, somebody needs to lose their job.
Because a lot of people need to lose their job.
Because ultimately, as a publisher, it's about, from a business aspect, it's about making money. And a book that is canceled after 10 issues is not a book that makes money. So if this was done purposely, someone needs to lose their job.
And here's something that we may or may not. So this is not confirmed per se, but the editor who supervised the Urban Legends Tim Drake stories, and I believe the first part of this series, is no longer an editor. He's decided to be a freelance writer. Now, that may or may not have anything to do with the fact that this series failed so badly. But I feel quite strongly that if this series was a major success, he probably would have been on the Jess Chen path on the way to full editor, rather than being an associate editor who decided that he could make more money as a writer. So I think there already have been some consequences for this book. Dark Knights of Steel, number 10.
Thumbs up. Everyone is friends now, and John is there, and resembles.
Was Steph in this issue?
I don't remember. Probably. I don't remember.
That's the only way you're going to get me to read this book.
If she was, she had a small part. I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember. There was an issue she and Cass were
She's
both
been in like
this.
3 issues.
Bruce was barely in this issue. I don't think Steph was in this. Beast Boy is the dragon.
I bought the freaking Tales of the Free Kingdoms because Steph was in it.
Such an addict.
Theo, did you read this one?
Oh yeah, definitely thumbs up. I am happy that, like Steph said, that the Three Kingdoms are. I won't say friendly, but at least they have a common enemy now.
4 kingdoms. Because Ivy joined.
Oh yeah, because Ivy joins them. Yeah, so you can call it the Green Kingdom too. But yeah, this was definitely good. And I mean, I'm kind of sad that Alfred really isn't Alfred, but I'm also happy, like Steph said, that Alfred is John. So
I love John.
It's a good trade-off.
If we're talking about like nice, wonderful people in the DC universe, John Johns is one of my absolute favorite. He's so lovely.
He's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
I unfortunately still am abstaining because Steph is not in it. Harley Quinn, number 28.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say Theo and I are both abstaining.
No, okay.
Is this Tini Howard's first issue?
This is the first Teeny Howard issue.
Okay, that explains a lot because I was so confused. They ended. Harley's in prison because she's beating up Two-Face, who I don't understand why he's going on a rampage because that's not what he's doing in any other book. Anyway.
Harley Quinn's not in the same continuity.
Oh my gosh, it was very, very confusing. Her and Kevin's relationship is weird. What she's doing is she's getting arrested and sent to do community service, so she's teaching, and then suddenly Two-Face is barreling through the wall, and they're blaming her for it, and it was, I don't know. Maybe there's some point to it. Oh, right, and then there's something about the multiverse and a fish. I don't know. It was all weird. Thumbs down. I know I said neutral, but thumbs down.
If you come in two episodes, we may have deleted this from Greater Gotham.
Possibly.
Because I'm not reading that.
I don't know why I thought you were reviewing
Gotham City. What?
I don't know why I thought you were reviewing Harley Quinn.
Oh gosh, no! I would not review 2 Teeny Howard books at once. I am in pain in the fact that I have to do Catwoman every month. Gotham City Year 1, number 6. Anyone else read this one?
I did. I think I decided on a neutral. I didn't quite understand the point in the ending. And I was
Have you seen the movie Chinatown, Steph?
No, we've already discussed this. I have
Okay.
not. But so...
Well, I am not recommending that you see it.
Was there any significance in having Sam Bradley be of black ancestry? Or being black, I guess, but not appearing black.
Wait,
so
what?
The point of that is so that he can be connected to his brother who cannot pass and gets killed. That's the point of making Slam that.
I'm gonna stay out of that.
So I'm gonna say thumbs down because, and it may be slightly unfair for me to say thumbs down, but this movie, this miniseries is, in its most important and essential beats, just a copy of the movie Chinatown, and I hate that movie with my whole soul. And so I hate this comic with my whole soul too. Plus the fact that it tries to make slam Bradley, Bruce's grandfather, and I think that's just, come on. And it
Well, it
disappoints me
makes
because
Batman-
I do really like the art.
It makes Bruce Wayne Batman black. Sort of.
So now he's black and Jewish and Presbyterian. This is the most confusing thing they've done to Batman yet.
Oh, it's so weird.
All right. So a little peek behind the scenes. I often try to end our Greater Gotham segments with a book that at least most of us had a good time with. And if I had... The problem with this episode is that the books that two of us liked, I didn't read. So I didn't want to end on a book that I hadn't read, which is unfair, but I write the show notes. So we're going to end on a downer. Punchline, The Gotham Game, number 6.
Okay. Now, there's actually a lot of things I liked about this one. I'm going to give it a neutral. Like, I liked some of the side characters and what they ended up doing. I like that Bluff died. Did he die or is he die in Catwoman?
He died here.
He died here. I like that Bluff died because he was bothering me. He was Cullen's aggressor and I didn't like that. So I'm glad Bluff is dead. And I liked the YouTuber guy, the streaming guy with the
Navy. He was funny.
He was funny. And I like that Batman came zooming in the Batmobile. I thought that was cool. But yeah, this is horrible. This is terrible. I loved this book when it started. I wanted to like this book. So, like, a really unenthusiastic neutral.
Theo, did you read this one?
Bald Joker was weird. And Joker caring for...
I think that has something to do with the ongoing Joker book, but I'm not reading that enough to know what it means.
So he was bald and he was weird. I'm not saying him being bald was weird. I'm saying he was acting weird. Like, the Joker doesn't suture people and care for them. That is not a thing I've ever seen Joker do. It was weird. He was acting
it might be fake Joker, because there's like 3 Jokers in that book right now.
There? Okay, because that would make sense. She was like, oh, you aren't really here. Anyway, it was weird. Carry on.
So, Theo, did you read this one?
Are you serious?
I don't know. Punchline is hot.
I rather look at Renee Montoya.
Respectfully, I assume. So this book gets a firm thumbs down for me, but it's a complicated thumbs down. I agree. I agree with Steph. I think that Navy is a fun character. I think Bluff was an interesting character. I really like all the what is Royal Flush puns of all the characters' names. I thought that was actually really fun and clever. So Punchline is a politically neutral internet radical. So she's not a direct copycat of either a politically liberal or politically conservative figure. She's not, ripped from the headlines in the sense that she's directly copying someone from the headlines. But she is ripped from the headlines in the fact that there is real anxiety about internet radicalization. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate the care that James Tynion and Sam Johns put into her creation. And I think that Teenie and Blake Howard honored that care by continuing that. She is still clearly an internet radical, and she's not a copycat of any specific political movement. So I think that's really well done. The reason it's a thumbs down is because this is not a mini-series. This is 6 additional issues of Teenie Howard's Catwoman run. It has no real beginning, middle, or end. Every event is connected to an event that's happening in Catwoman, and so the book does not make sense when read by itself, and Catwoman doesn't make sense when read by itself. This does not have an ending at all. This book is not actually about Punchline. This is a terrible book, and I don't understand why they gave Teenie Howard their hottest new character, Punchline, who was really, really hot. Lots of cosplay, tons of variant covers, tons of fan art. And they were okay that she made it 6 extra issues of Catwoman that have nothing really to do with Punchline. She doesn't even have an ending scene. She's not the main character of her own book. She's not the main villain of her own book. This is stupid. This is IP destruction of an IP that's less than 2 years old that was red hot when Tynan left. DC has morons at the wheel.
I don't want to say I disagree, but I disagree. I don't see all the craziness about Punchline. I mean, I just don't. I mean, again, if you got something that you're seeing elsewhere, I'll be happy to look. But I don't think Punchline has grabbed attention as everybody expected her to. I mean, I've been to several.
I think that part of that is that they put her in that weird backup.
I've gone to several cons already this year. Plenty of Harley. You're gonna always see Harley. No Punchline. I've gone to cosplay contests at these cons. No Punchline, although you still get your Harleys. This is another situation of DC trying to force something and just throwing it against the wall and hoping that it finally sticks. I mean, even when JT did it, I don't think Punchline caught on the way they were expecting her to.
I think that's fair. I just feel like she was in a better place before this miniseries started, and this miniseries has really driven the nails in her coffin.
I mean, it has, with the exception of Ghostmaker and Clown Hunter. I don't think there's been much excitement of any of those characters JT created when he took over Batman. And of course, the designer never was. But
that guy's costume was so butt. It was so dumb.
but I don't know. I
think you have a good point.
I was never impressed with Punchline. I just thought that they created Punchline to try to feed off of all things Harley Quinn. Make another version of Harley Quinn that could.
Well, they wanted an actually evil Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that could be the Joker's boo and just do it all over again. And I just think it fell flat.
Well, it certainly has fallen flat now. Although Punchline herself is not flat.
No,
wink.
She is not.
Steph, you can edit that out if you feel it's too far.
I've been reading The Duke and His Teddy Bear.
What?
All right. So, what?
The Duke and His
It's a webtoon. It's really cute.
Oh God! This is what you do while we be talking.
I listen to you again later when I edit.
Oh God. I'm going into my corner and cry.
Anyway,
this is like the second or third episode that we've had to end things on a more sour note than anything. And sorry, Steph, we can't do any good thankfuls this time around because it's.
Wait, hold on. What was the last issue of Wayne Family Adventures?
Don't ask me. I'm so behind.
Oh, yeah. You should totally read the latest issue of Wayne Family Adventures because Batman needs a spare suit and Kate goes to pick one up and the boys, being Jason
that
and
one.
Dick, get to pick one up for him from his myriad collection of different Batsuits, and they pick some from his Rainbow Days.
from the golden age, shall we say?
That's so good.
I gotta catch up. I'm several chapters behind. I need to keep up with that so I can review it with you all.
For sure.
If you ever catch up, let us know.
Well,
You don't really have
so
to. You can just, they're pretty standalone.
I'm sad to say, and I'm sad to say, although I'm not sad to say, but I actually enjoy Vixen almost as much, if not more, than I enjoy Wayne Family Adventures.
That's good.
It's really good.
That's not bad at all. I mean, everyone has the books they like. You know?
Well, I'm a Batman fan, so it's
It's okay.
tough for me to.
We're all doing a Batman podcast, and I'm
it's kind of tough for me to put the big guy.
I mean, we just went through like 12 level. Batman family books that I hated. So,
well, see, if you don't read them, then you don't have to hate them. See, genius.
I abstained from a lot of books, man. I feel like I have to do something. All right. That brings us to the end of our episode. I want to thank our patrons. And if you contribute as a certain level on our Patreon, you get read aloud like this. Thank you to Lisa Slack, Donovan Morgan Grant, Austin Davis, Ian Miller, Stanton's Grave, Johnny McCloskey, Gerald Green, Donald Townsend, Cesar Diaz, Joshua Lappin Bertoni, Ed Grouse, Jessica Morales, Rob O, Captain America, David Richards, Tim Garassi, Mary Garrett, Robert Lewis, Stephanie Mounts. Thank you all for helping us keep our archive on the internet and help keep our website up. That brings us to the end of the end. And again, if you're at C2E2 in Chicago this weekend, last weekend in March, first weekend of April, come and look for the people with TBU t-shirts or just Batman t-shirts. We'd love to talk to you about Batman or comics in general.
There are going to be a few of us there.
Yes, there's like 4 or 5 of us from the website going to be there. So,
just not Steph.
This has been Ian.
This is Tev.
And this is Sad Theo. Have fun in Japan.
Have fun at C2E2.
And this has been the Batman Universe Comic Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Oh my goodness, you guys are not ready for my punchline rant. I am going to rip it a new butthole. I will say,
the only reason Ian doesn't have anything he likes is because he's not reading the good stuff. Well, the couple of them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like the good stuff. That's the problem.
Technically.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards putting it at the beginning.
You're putting out?
Oh, God.
What? Why are you saying these things?
Yeah, that's Beast Boy.
Beast Boy.
Beast Boy's a dragon?
Yes.
Is he evil? That doesn't look like a happy dragon.
Well, that picture doesn't look like a happy dragon, but it's a happy dragon. I love a happy dragon. I love this book.